how does this work in real practice? Let's move to a case study now with some real examples in order to briefly illustrate how this optimization concept can be put into practice. In this case study, we've borrowed some real-world examples that we have worked with to show you how this approach can be used. In this scenario, our customer has an existing pool of test assets, but they need to move on to add some new test capabilities so they can stay ahead in their market and get there as soon as possible. From a financial perspective, our customer has a 5-year straight-line depreciation model, and their equipment is in various stages of utilization. For this exercise, we used the TCO calculator tool that we introduced earlier in the seminar to come up with the following financial alternatives to handle the different needs of the department. So, for our first example, our customer has an existing 26 gigahertz N9030A performance spectrum analyzer, which they bought 5 years ago. And for their new application, they're going to need to be able to measure up to 50 gigahertz. They really love their current analyzer, but now they have a choice. Upgrade their existing analyzer to 50 gigahertz with a Keysight upgrade kit for just $39,000, or go ahead and buy a brand new N9030B state-of-the-art performance spectrum analyzer for about $92,000. So, for choice number 1, if they buy a new N9030B signal analyzer, it would help them lower their cost of ownership, give them some new enhanced capability, and increase utilization by getting up to 50 gigahertz. It might take a little bit of training to get up and running on it, since it has a new and different user interface. In this example, we also are including the possibility of trading in their existing signal analyzer to further reduce the upfront costs. Buying new looks like it would end up costing about $96,400 over an 8-year use model. Choice number 2 for them is to just do an upgrade to the existing N9030A signal analyzer and get to 50 gigahertz, which is their key driving factor. This looks like a lower cost up front, and there is no change in how the unit works or in the need to train up on new features. It might have some higher support costs, however, as the equipment ages. Using our TCO calculator model, over an 8-year use model, you would end up having a total cost of ownership with the upgrade approach of about $78,000 in total. So it appears, however, that upgrading might indeed be a better financial decision in this particular case and save you some money. Here's a second situation in the department where we need to make a choice. In this case, the customer has a critical need to keep the existing 83631B in their test setup, since they have hundreds of lines of code written in their automatic test application, and it would be extremely difficult to migrate that code to something new. The sweeper is about 15 years old, and it was made obsolete a long time ago, and it is getting expensive to repair. They spent about $12,000 last time it failed, and that hadn't been budgeted for previously. Outside of buying another one in the secondary market to replace the one they have a number of choices in how to keep their asset going. They could continue to use the one that they have and take their chances that it won't fail again, or at least that it doesn't fail very often. Or they could try to migrate to something new and rewrite their test code. Or they could consider getting an extended support contract on the sweeper to take the guesswork out of the possibility of repair and make sure that they have a quick turnaround on any needed repair. So how does this look from a financial optimization perspective? In this scenario, migrating to new is just not feasible for them because of all that software. So in choice number 1, they can continue with a hope it doesn't fail per incident repair approach. This requires no commitment from them, and they are counting on good luck to carry them through. But this approach does have risk, and they may or may not be able to find another unit or get it fixed if it fails in the future. Assuming that it only fails 2 times over the next 5 years, their total cost of ownership from the TCO model looks like it will cost about $21,000. In choice number 2, they can purchase an extended support period contract that will give them confidence about their sweeper in the event of a failure. The support contract from Keysight costs about $3,700 per year, and it covers repair and faster turnaround in our repair centers. They will have increased uptime as a result, but there is the incremental cost of having a support contract in place each year. Using the TCO calculator, the cost over 5 years for getting a support contract is just about $18,500. So again, this looks like a pretty easy decision for the customer. In the last example, the customer needs to get a new oscilloscope that can get them to 16 gigahertz, and they are considering two different choices in this case. One is to go ahead and buy a new DSAV 164A V-Series oscilloscope from Keysight for about $120,000, or they could buy the same new V-Series scope but trade in their current 8 GHz DSA 9804A oscilloscope and a different model from another OEM. In this example, the Keysight oscilloscope can get a 30% credit off of new, which corresponds to $40,000, with the extra $10,000 from the other OEM model, bringing the total combined trade-in credit to $50,000 off if they choose to go that direction. Working through our total cost of ownership calculator again, and assuming a 10-year life cycle, buying a new DSAV 164A 16 GHz oscilloscope would certainly be a great addition to their test asset pool. But you would still have some increase in cost of ownership on the 11-year-old scope if you kept it around, although it does give you extra capacity. But by trading the old scope in, along with a different OEM's product, you can refresh your asset pool and keep your support costs down, plus see an attractive residual value for the older oscilloscope by trading it in with the attractive migration offer and before its value has trailed off too far. For this example, trading in the older scope and the other unit may just be too attractive of an offer to pass up, and it might enable you to go forward now with the procurement rather than having to wait until later. And there are a few more Keysight services to make you aware of that add more alternatives for you in how you can get to what you need now. To save cost further, Keysight offers a premium used equipment refurbished alternative for many of its models, and that can save you a lot of money without added risk or compromise, since the instruments are coming straight from the OEM with a just-like-new value proposition. Keysight also has a convenient eBay and Alibaba used equipment e-commerce alternative, which for some customers they can take advantage of, and it offers immediate purchase alternatives on select models. Keysight also has a number of financial alternatives available too, including a 12 and 18-month 0% payment program called Instant Buy, and several financing programs available in select regions through either Keysight or through our third-party channel partners. Wrapping up on our case study, the best way to optimize your asset pool is not by using any one of these service alternatives, but instead by mixing and matching these kind of technology refresh services based on what your real objective is for a given test station or department need. Whether your goal for a solution is reducing cost, extending life, increasing utilization, or looking for financial alternatives that can enable solutions now or later, companies like Keysight can help you get the right set of refresh combinations to meet your varied needs with a broad service set of choices. That's really what we wanted to cover today. So let's summarize on what we just learned. You can optimize your asset pool and your test budget at the same time, but it takes some work. It will involve a balance of keeping most of your asset pool in tip-top shape, modernizing where you can, and migrating to new when you have to have new capabilities to stay current and competitive in your market. The ideal way to do this is by prioritizing where your needs are, analyzing your costs, and exploring how well you are utilizing your current assets and where there are still gaps in capability. Redeploying your assets when possible and removing older, more expensive ones as appropriate can really help you reduce costs and save budget towards affording the capability you need today. And that is what this is all about, saving money and having what you need to get the job done without the need to wait. And keep Keysight in mind when it comes to having these tech refresh choices and alternatives you need to help you mix and match these services to meet any scenario. Thank you again for joining us today, and let us know how we can help you meet your technology challenges.